mean, you were just saying that like the Chinese Communist Party is so incompetent that it can't succeed at its grand ambition. So it just has to do organ harvesting. I mean,
yeah. I mean,
so much optimism.
Is that what you're saying, Ethan? Is that like organ harvesting is going to get worse because they are not able to have this breakthrough in pharma?
Take a look at the figures. I was shocked myself because I've been saying this for a while without even bothering to look at the figures. It's very Gutmann. But the fact is, if you see the growth of pharmaceuticals in China, it barely tracks inflation, okay? It's there. This is going nowhere, okay? This was supposed to be, look, this is a country which can make any kind of FDA they like. As, who's that columnist in the New York Times, like, to be China for a day. Who's that fellow?
Oh, like Thomas Friedman?
That's
Is that it? Yeah.
Thomas Friedman, yes. Yeah. This is sort of the Thomas Friedman theory of China, right? Is, they can do anything they like. They can create this fantastic FDA, which will clear things, which will make the warp speed of our clearance, look like nothing. They'll be faster than the speed of the internet and so forth. But instead, what do? No, none of that. Okay, they cannot get the world's confidence in this area at all, and so that's crushing. This is a disaster for their medical system. So I believe that that they're very vulnerable in that area. That's what I would argue. I mean, if we're going to talk in a very realpolitik way about it, that's what I'd say. They're very vulnerable, and we should cut them off, and we should treat their doctors like crap. We shouldn't invite them to any conferences, and they shouldn't be allowed in any reindeer games, and that's it. Okay, and we don't want their students going to our med schools. I mean, period. I mean, unless anything to do with surgery, anyways. Nothing.
Yeah, but if we don't let them play the reindeer games, then sooner or later they're going to be leading Santa's sleigh.
Yeah, that's what they think. Kids think that too, Chris. Okay.
Wait, are you saying Rudolph was a lie? He will always be ostracized for his differences.
Now this is really dark.
Yeah, the forced sterilization. Now we're dark.
We're going, yeah.
Oh,
but
boy.
The one thing that does make me feel better is I can really relate to what the Chinese Communist Party is going through with pharma because, at some level, we're all deeply incompetent.
That's certainly true. I feel that way. But so if their pharma plans are failing, what do you think their next move will be?
I don't know. I as I say, I mean, I think they're, if the West lets up, I think. Well, the one thing I did find out over this period was I was looking at this compound. And maybe I showed you even a picture of it or something last time, but that's really gelled. The Aksu organ harvesting compound, where you basically have two camps, total of about 50,000 people, and then less than a kilometer away, I mean, literally something about 8,000 meters away, is a large crematorium. Okay, a very large crematorium. And then 20 minutes away, 20-minute drive, is an airport, the Aksu airport, where they have a green lane, which is a special green passage lane for human organs. It's a fast-track lane for human organs. It says so, okay? Special organ exportation lane, human organ exportation lane. So obviously, and they have a hospital that the camps were actually built around a hospital called the Aksu Infection Hospital, which started. Now I was able to go in and dig that around on that more. And Gulchera Hoca did the original research, and I started digging more. I went and talked to a couple of guys in Turkey who lived in Aksu and used to drive by the crematorium every day. And they said it stunk. So originally I thought it was a water-based system, which is a little slow when getting rid of bodies. It takes about 3 hours to dissolve the body, all the fats, all the bones, and so forth, very hot water. But they said, no, it smelled like, charred bones. And I said, okay, so that's a burner system. Well, that means it's very fast and probably very efficient. And they probably have an afterburner to get rid of, so there's no smoke, but there's just the smell, the residue left. Now, what does that mean? Well, it means we could be looking at, thousands of people going up chimneys that you can't even see every day. We could. And I'm not saying that's happening yet. We don't really know that, and we don't see the evidence of that yet. We just know that there's a transplant hospital, the oxyo-infection hospital. We know it was built as a SARS hospital. We know that from these witnesses. And that it turned into a hospital for Muslim extremists. So it was basically like a psychiatric ward in the old Soviet Union. It's a way to torture them, give them drugs. This was, mid-2000s kind of period. So when things were relatively peaceful, as we were discussing earlier. And that's what we know. And then so this was basically an evil hospital. And now it's being used for transplants. And we've never had something like this before, the sort of Oliver Stone moment where we saw everything in the same place.
That seems pretty blatant to build it all right there.
It is pretty blatant. I mean, what's interesting about it, too, is that the witnesses to this crematorium said that they always assumed they were smelling Chinese bodies. I said, why is that? He said, because Uyghurs don't like to cremate. We hate cremation. The Chinese like cremation. We don't like it. He's right.
Well, look, Ethan, we need to work with China on climate change, and it sounds to me like they have created clean-burning crematoriums. We should be congratulating them.
You know, I think if the Biden administration is going to go on this approach, they need to study the Trudeau record very carefully and how successful the Trudeau record of Canada and how successful it's been at changing Chinese behavior.
Very successful, right?
Mm-hmm. Can't wait to work with these allies.
Yeah.
I mean, it's still probably better than Germany.
Oh, you mean better than working with current Angela Merkel Germany?
Yeah.
Yes. Marginally, yes.
Do you think that the U.S. is going to pass that Uyghur forced labor bill?
I don't know. It's very hard to determine it's hard for me to determine. I've been over in England for quite some time. I don't have the pulse of the street. I am moving back to the United States for a while. I have to be back here, even actually probably right here in London Heathrow Airport, just about a year from now, okay, for family reasons. But I'm going to be traveling for this entire next year, or part of it in the States. I hope to spend some time in Washington, D.C. I still think there are plenty of people I know who are much better lobbyists than me, and people who are considered better at diplomacy than me. So I'm not going to try to move into that angle. You know what I do? That's what I try to do is still investigative research, and I still try to get it out there.